Erin, happy Monday.
Hey, happy Monday.
How you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Can't complain, can't complain. I mean, it's summer's almost over, so that's kind of sad, right? The nice weather disappearing a bit. How's it been for you over there?
It's still pretty nice over here. I remember like September 1st was like kind of cool, and I was kind of tight about it. But now it's been warm again, so it's been good.
Yeah, I know. Got to soak it up while it lasts, right? Have you got to do anything fun or crazy, special for the summer? Or do you just kind of, life is as normal?
I enjoyed the summer because my last fight was June 4th, so I kind of had like right after that fight was like summer, so it was like kind of perfect timing. So I was able to like go to the beach a lot and like did a little surfing and stuff like that. So I just kind of like enjoyed my summer. I did a bunch of different things, so it was cool.
Yeah, there you go. Surfing, that's awesome. I mean, I've never tried it. I know some people who have. It just seems like such a difficult thing to me. How long have you been doing that for?
I only did it like once. I wanted to do. Maybe I'll try to get it one more time. Cold. But it was super. It was definitely hard. But I got up on the board a couple times. I was able to hold it a little bit. But it's if I lived closer to the beach, I definitely would do it more.
Right, right, of course. And are you into any like skateboarding or snowboarding? Obviously, similar types of things.
No, I've never done like skiing or snowboarding stuff because I'm always like scared to like hurt my knees or something. Like being in the water, like in summer kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, if you fall, you're in the water, so you're fine. But I'm like petrified of breaking my ACL or something, like doing something outside of fighting. So I've never really like done that.
Yeah, that's certainly fair. So, I mean, I snowboard and I can understand like if you were to start now, why that might be scary because there's a lot of falling involved when you start out. So, might be not the best there. Maybe skiing, but I don't know if you had to pick one. Which one would you go with?
I don't know. I've heard like snowboarding is a little bit easier. I don't know. That's what I've heard from my friends. I don't know. Like, I guess it's like easier to fall and stuff. Like, maybe like fall a little safe because they were trying to convince me to go. And I was like, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to hurt myself or something. And they were like, oh, try snowboarding. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. It looks
Yeah.
cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
it just kind of depends on if you want your feet together or not, you know? That's pretty much the big thing there. But I mean, have you been doing any commentary lately? I remember last time we talked, Darren, it was like right after you just got done with the gig. Have you been keeping up with that?
Yeah, I did it again a couple weeks ago for Hudson Valley Invitational. I did some commentating for their grappling show. But yeah, it was fun. It was cool. I definitely I like it. I feel like I need to get a little more experience in it, but I definitely enjoy when I do it.
Is it kind of one of those things that's maybe, obviously out of fight camp, you don't want to like add too much on the plate all at once. So just kind of when the opportunity arises, you'll take it, but you're not like maybe seeking it because obviously fighting yourself is the main focus.
Yeah, definitely fighting right now is my main focus. Like if the opportunities came and they made sense, I would do it a little bit more. Yeah, I haven't been super like aggressive about getting positions. I feel like if I was, maybe I'd get a little bit more. But right now, I've just kind of been playing around with it.
Yeah, of course, of course. And you mentioned the great win over JJ in your last time out in June, which is, right in the middle of summer there. So good stuff. And you got the finish. Obviously, a good win there and beating someone like who's so durable with a finish the way you did. Like, does that rank as your best win so far, would you say? I mean, great performance again. You're on a roll right now.
I mean, it's definitely a memorable one because it was my first finish in the UFC. I feel like every fight feels like the most important fight, like at the moment. I don't know if I would say it's like my biggest win, but definitely one for the books. So yeah.
Absolutely. And you wanted the winner of Maycee and Jessica I after that one, but obviously that's not happening now. And I think it kind of worked out a little bit. But I mean, Jessica also ended up retiring after that one. So, I mean, surprised some people maybe, but what were your thoughts on kind of how that whole fight played out? Didn't surprise me too much, but I guess her retiring was kind of the biggest shocker of the whole thing.
Yeah, that fight played out kind of how I thought it would. It was definitely a little bit tough fight for both of them. Jessica retiring definitely caught me a little off guard. And then I knew Maycee wasn't really looking to fight me. So I wasn't surprised when that didn't really happen. But the matchup I have now is perfect. So I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, fighting in New York and Madison Square Garden, like, take away the fight itself, but like, just that setting and location, that's kind of what you wanted anyway, despite whoever you were fighting, right? So, like, how cool is that for you? Just like this
Yeah,
moment.
no, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to fight MSG so bad. Like I didn't care who I fought, as long as I got on that card. That's definitely like there's no other place I really want to fight. I just want to fight at MSG. That's something I've always kind of had in my head when I was training at Penzo Gracie NYC a lot. I would like literally pass it every single day. And it's like I know other fighters that fought in there. And it's just such like an iconic place. So I'm super pumped about it.
Are you gonna have to go very far? Like, how far from home is it for you right now?
Oh, I mean, it's literally like a maybe like half-hour train ride. It's
Oh
like
wow.
not bad. I could drive it. Train's easier for parking and everything, but yeah, it's super close. I can like train in probably my gyms and stuff all fight week and everything. So
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, nice and comfortable then with that. And are you having a lot of friends and family hitting you up for the tickets? Want the hookups?
yeah, definitely. I've been getting tickets stuff a lot. So I expect a big crowd there. I'm excited.
For sure. That's going to be very exciting. Just a great card overall. I mean, they always stack the MSG ones. So awesome. And then you get somebody like Meatball who's got her own hype right now. I mean, I'm sure you've been watching her. Just what do you make of this kind of matchup now when she's on a little bit of resurgence? It's been a little bit of a roller coaster for her in the UFC, the losing streak, the win streak, and now, back on one. What do you make of her as an opponent for you in this one?
Yeah, no, I'm excited about this matchup. She's definitely riding a little bit of she's a little popular right now, and she's in the rankings too, which I like. I wanted to fight someone in the rankings. I know I'm ranked a little bit above her, but we're both in the rankings, so that's a good fight. She's primarily a striker, I would say. She likes to come in there. She's super aggressive, but I don't think she's as technical as some other girls I've fought. So I'm definitely confident in this matchup, and I'm super pumped for it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that I think was surprising to a lot of people, especially who have been following, your career, Erin, and then maybe seeing what she's been doing recently. But it's a little bit surprising, I think, because on paper, stylistically, you look like a very tough, matchup for her, and she's got all this momentum, and she's kind of the new face of, British MMA for the women at the moment, anyway. So, like, were you surprised that they kind of gave you this opportunity, which again on paper looks pretty good for you?
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't expect to get the matchup with her, but I definitely wasn't opposed to it. When my manager texted me about it, I was like, that's the perfect fight for me. She, like you said, she's kind of riding some momentum now, so it'd be great to beat her up now and kind of take a little bit of that shine off of her. So yeah, I was a little surprised, but I'm happy with it.
And just like that, kind of add any pressure at all? Just maybe, of course, there's the MSG element, fighting at home, that kind of thing. But then having somebody who is going to attract the eyeballs additionally on top of what you're already getting yourself.
No, I like that pressure. Honestly, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't kind of enjoy that whole aspect of fighting and everything. I know people sometimes get a little weird about pressure, but it's like I feel like it helps me perform even better. So I'm definitely I kind of like that pressure is added onto this fight.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of interesting too, I think, when you look at the popularity of her versus your own, and then being at home. Like, I wonder how the crowd's gonna react. I mean, I'm sure they won't boo you necessarily, but I'm curious to see if maybe they turn on her. Like, that's going to be kind of an interesting element.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I know there's a lot of like Irish fans and stuff in New York, and I mean, I know she's from London, so she's not. I don't know if she's Irish, she might be part Irish or something, but I'm Irish too, which is kind of funny. So I don't know the crowd. I mean, I'm the hometown girl, so I think everybody for me.
Yeah, that would make sense. So come on, guys. But, and just for her last two wins, Erin, like the spinning elbows have kind of been the thing. Obviously, the first one absolutely nuts, but then there was the last one too. Is that something that like it's such a unique move? Do you pay attention to that at all? To like worry about it, or you're just like, oh well, she kind of found those moments, and they're, I don't want to say lightning in a bottle because she kind of mentioned that too, but like catching something so rare like that can't happen 3 times, right?
You have to be aware of anybody who has like I guess certain moves that they like to throw. They're probably going to be looking for them again, because who wouldn't want to get 3 spinning elbows in a row, right? So I'm definitely paying attention to that. There's just little techniques you can learn to counter anything. There's always counters to anything people do. So I'm always watching all my opponents' fights. I try to watch a lot of their fights from beginning to very recent. And we just go over little things that can kind of counter anything that they have coming for me. So I'm not too worried about it, because I've had plenty of time to prepare for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting too. You mentioned the number next to her name in this one, and I was feeling like kind of after the Maverick win, that could have made sense for you to get somebody ranked after that one. But it's all right. Here we are now. It's all working out just fine. But after a potential win here, like how far up the ladder do you kind of want to move? Not to think too far ahead, but like, of course, map it out a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm number 12 right now, and this is only gonna be my fourth fight in the UFC, so I feel like I've done pretty well with only a few fights I've had. But I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm really focused on beating up Molly in November, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, if I keep winning the way I am, it's only going to go forward. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting at the top right now after the recent fight with Valentina and Taila Santos, which I'm sure you watched. That was a very competitive one. A lot of people think she should have won. I mean, how do you feel kind of about how that one played out? Just like who you did think won and who should be next for Valentina? Because it's like we're kind of waiting and watching in a weird spot right now with Flyweight, which is fun, for everybody else to get their chance potentially.
yeah, when I watched that fight initially, I definitely thought Talia edged it out a bit, like with her grappling, and I feel like she had definitely a little bit better positions. Maybe she wasn't throwing and stuff as much as Valentina was. Even when I watched Talia versus Molly, I kind of noticed that too. Talia doesn't. She's a good grappler and she's strong, but she doesn't really move very fluidly, and she doesn't throw a lot. So I think like maybe they kind of favored Valentina because whenever Valentina did get on top, she was throwing a lot more. From what I remember, I haven't watched it in a little while, but that was definitely a super close fight. It could have went either way. You can almost say maybe Valentina just got it because she is the champ, and they tend to favor them a little bit. But yeah, I'm not sure who would be next for Valentina right now. I know there's a couple fights coming up like that are in the higher in the division. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I guess the couple fights have to happen, I think, to see who's next for her.
Yeah, we got Grasso and Araujo coming up here. Chukagian and Furo, that's going to be not on your fight card, but 280, so the one before that. So yeah, those are kind of the key ones I think people are probably looking at. And at this point, like because of how close that one was with Valentina and Taila, do you think it kind of kills the potential for the Nunes trilogy? I guess that's still possible, but like I don't know, it feels a little weirder now, even though she just got her bantamweight belt back too.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I know everyone keeps talking about it, but it's a little bit strange, especially because Amanda already beat her twice. So it's not like win, loss, and try to get that next win again or anything. So I don't know how much Valentina wants that either. I feel like if she really wanted it, it probably would have happened already. She'll talk about it and kind of skirt around it, but I don't think she really wants it that bad. Because I'm pretty sure Amanda would beat her again. I think Amanda's just a little bit too much for her. She's like a big 35er, and Valentina doesn't seem to cut much for 25. So I wouldn't expect much different of a result. So I mean, it might happen, it might not. I think it kind of depends on who like wins, like how these girls win, like those fights you were talking about, like how those girls win. If they win super impressively and they knock one of those girls out, maybe they'll be like, oh, they can hype up that fight now. But if the fights are kind of lackluster, and it doesn't create anything exciting, then they might make that Valentina and Amanda fight again.
Yeah, just a lot of moving parts right now. So, I mean, that's kind of fun for the viewers. Maybe not so much those fantastical matchups like that trilogy fight, which isn't super necessary, but it is what it is. And, speaking kind of the closeness, though, of that matchup with Santos, it makes me think of the potential or the idea of, open scoring, Aaron, because what you had, your last fight in Invicta had open scoring, right? So you did get to experience that. I'm just curious, what are your overall thoughts on that? Do you think the UFC should at least give it a try? I know Dana does not seem very interested, but knowledge is power, right? I mean, it's cool to be able to know if you're winning or, not winning.
Yeah, I mean, I had one fight with open scoring, and I definitely, I mean, that fight was I was very dominant in the fight, so I kind of knew I was winning every round, but I feel like in a closer fight, I would like to know, because I know Dana's talked about people maybe like, oh, if they know they're up two, they're going to skirt like the third round or something. But if I knew I was like up two, I'd still go out there and try to like finish in that last round. Or if I knew I was down two, I would go out there and go for broke, because even if I get finished, I'm going to lose anyway. So I feel like there's two ways it can go. And I feel like it would go a lot more that way, because if someone goes in there and they're going to start really pushing the pace because they know they're down two, it's going to create a fight even if the other person doesn't really want to. So I like the idea of open scoring. I'm definitely not opposed to it. And I think it's interesting too, even as like someone who, because I watch Invictus all the time and they still do open scoring. I even like to see, I'm like, oh, who won that round? And like, it's always interesting to see how judges see the fights versus like your own opinion of it. It really shows how subjective it is. And yeah, I mean, I like the idea of it for sure.
And I think it's cool what Invicta also does is like you have the option to know or not, right? Like, well, your coaches give you that option. So like, for example, like in your fight, did they let you know, or was like, we already know, so we don't need to tell her?
I think what they did, it was kind of funny. They had iPads and
yeah,
they right behind you. So I couldn't see it because I was sitting down on the stool and it was like on the case, so my coach could see it. And I did ask him, I was like, oh, like, did I win? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I already know. I was like, I didn't need to see it. But he said, so I guess you could choose to see it or not if your coach doesn't tell you.
Yeah. So I think that's a nice element rather than maybe just forcing it on people, even though I think that would still be fine. But it's just kind of, it's all about the mentality, right? Like I always like to talk to fighters about it, you know, mental versus physical, Erin. So like for you, I mean, just to go into that, would you say it balances out? Like some people say maybe it's even, or usually what people say is that MMA is much more mental of a sport than physical.
You know, it's definitely both. I feel like camp and stuff can be definitely like, it's definitely physical, like it's training for all that time and trying to find the proper ratio of training and rest and stuff like that. And also just being mentally able to deal with training all the time. And I feel like cutting weight especially is more of a mental thing, not being able to like go out to dinners and stuff like that whenever you want. You have to like focus on keeping your nutrition on point. So it's definitely a balance. And I think every fighter has their own type of balance. Like something that works for me doesn't work for somebody else. And we can both be champs in different divisions and stuff like that. And our different types of mentalities and approaches aren't necessarily right or wrong. They're just for different people. So I think it's very individual.
And it's really impressive too, you know, for you to kind of be as mentally strong as you are now at 23 still. And congrats on the 23 spot in what the ESPN did their rankings of the best fighters at their ages. So that's really cool. But like, would you say that there's any, I guess, advice you could give to people for, I don't know, training mentality? That sounds like a weird thing, but, you know, honing in that focus, I guess. Is there any suggestions that you would give in that kind of situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, especially because I started so young, I went pro at 18. I think I had a lot of like confidence in myself going because I feel like a lot of people didn't like I mean, most of the people I trained with and everything had confidence in me, but other people were a little bit worried about me going pro so young or didn't have much confidence in me in fighting. But I had a lot of confidence in myself and I kept my coaches and like my family and stuff were very like confident in me. So I feel like keeping people around you that have that confidence in you as well. And are also willing to help you. Like they don't just have like blind confidence, like they know what it takes into it and they're going to help you do it. So I feel like that's something that's huge for me and something I still, I guess like rely on too. But yeah, I think just kind of like focusing, like, you know what you need to do. And if you're doing it, like, don't worry about what other people think about it kind of thing. And it doesn't matter your age or anything either, as long as you're willing to put in the work.
So good confidence support, but not yes men, essentially. So the best example, and this is me saying it, not you, but obviously we've seen what happened with Ronda and her coaching staff at the end of her career. So that's kind of the best case of the opposite of that, I think. But I mean, Erin, just, you know, for how successful you've been so early on and continuing to be, you know, do great things, like, is it cool for you to be an inspiration for, you know, maybe some young girls who are also trying to get into MMA? I'm sure, you know, maybe you get some messages every now and then from people who are, you know, kind of saying, oh, you know, maybe a favorite fighter or something like that. Is that a cool thing for you to think about? Or you try and not maybe get overwhelmed by that kind of stuff?
No, I mean, I definitely, I kind of notice it more now because I'm a little bit 23. I'm a little bit older now. I feel like for a while when I first started, I always felt like the kid. So I didn't really think up to me. But now getting a little bit older, I can definitely see like some of the younger girls at the gyms and stuff definitely look up to me. And, you know, I just try to keep doing what I'm doing and kind of just like kind of be a role model through my actions. Like, you know, I mean, just keep doing what I'm doing, try to be a good person in general and keep working hard and just they watch your actions more than anything. You can say certain things to people, but they won't remember. They see your actions, and that's what's really going to make an impact on them. So I just try to always do my best.
Oh, very well said. And it's kind of funny going back to your introduction to MMA, right? Because I remember hearing you say the first fight you saw was Miesha Ronda 1, right, Erin? Was that? And like, it's funny to me kind of for you to not be deterred maybe by that fight, because that was obviously not the broken arm from Miesha, but, you know, it was we all remember what happened there. So like, you were the opposite. That's a little bit of the psycho in you, right? I mean, how were you not like freaked out by that at all?
I mean, I actually already was like competing in competitions before. And I think when I was, I forgot how old I was, maybe like 10, 11 or so, I like popped some girl's shoulder out in a grapple. And so I was kind of used to seeing limbs get taken out of place and stuff like that. So it didn't really deter me. It just Maybe want to do it more.
Well, that is excellent. And I mean, not a bad fight to start with. Like, people forget that that one was actually a pretty great fight. So, like, for you, Erin, I mean, among all the fights that you've watched, just like as a fan, obviously, I'm sure that one's up there. But the best women's fights ever. What are like some that come to mind? If you have like one specific one that you'd say is the best one, what would you kind of highlight?
I think for me, the ones that impact me the most are ones that I watched before I got so into it myself. So I remember I used to watch Invictus all the time, like when I was younger, because my dad, he always was super into MMA, and he was into watching UFC. And then when I started training, he would try to get me to watch the Invictus because he knew they were all like girl cards. So I remember watching Michelle Waterson versus Jessica and
Classic.
love such a good fight. I remember like watching that, like, oh my God, they're so good. It's so crazy. Like, I want to be like that when I'm older. So that one really sticks out in my mind. Sometimes I go back and just watch it just for like nostalgia.
I love that you mentioned that one because I did a list on this like a year or so ago, but it was after Whaley and Joanna, and for me, those are the top two ever. And I put that one over just because it's still, people forget, as grappling heavy as it was, there were some great striking exchanges, and then obviously the finish in the fourth round. Like, yeah, got to give some love to the atom weights, the OGs, Jessica Penne and Michelle Waterson for sure. So can't go wrong with that one. But all right, Erin. Well, I don't want to keep you too long here on this Monday. Of course, we all got stuff to do, and it is a holiday, so happy Labor Day to you and all that. So I appreciate you taking the time, and very much excited for this great opportunity. And going to be a fun fight with Molly. Both you guys always put on good shows, and going to be a great crowd, great card overall. Just wish you the best of luck with training camp and all that, and happy rest of the summer to you. Even though we are in September now, so I don't know if it counts anymore, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.